Hi, this is Shadi. Today's discussion is going to be on knife sparring, knife defense from Kodokan Aikido, or what we call Tomiki Aikido. I got the footage from their Instagram, the Kodokan Aikido Federation. And also we're going to be discussing Tankendo, because knife talks are always very sensible. A lot of the time people would just throw them out the window, run away. They're too dangerous. The knife does not have a particular pattern, so whatever drill you are doing, it is useless. And of course, all these arguments are very viable. The best thing to do is to actually not be there. But does that mean that all knife training is futile or useless? I wouldn't say so. You see, from watching a lot of Kodokan footage, I noticed something. A lot of the time when we think of knife defense, we think of wrist locks and joint locks in order to defend an attack, but that doesn't have to be the entire case. Big throws like Judo throws can also be very viable, and we're gonna see competition example of this in just a second. So here you are seeing the basic drills for a ski or a thrust with the knife in Aikido. They're very static, they're very basic. Of course, they're teaching you the technique, not the actual fighting. So here, let's see in sparring how it is a little bit chaotic. He's controlling the wrist, and the other guy is not only grabbing the knife, but also trying to grip fight, taking his hand on the back, and the other guy just bull rushes him. You can finish it with like an Ochigari or Koso Togake the same way. But look, the control on the knife is crucial. This is your I would say priority when fighting with a knife. A big throw can also be very viable. It's not just control of the arm. We'll see the control of the arm in a second, but again, this is here just to demonstrate that big throws can also be very good choice against knife attacks. Very similar to here, we see Ippon Seoinage against the club or against a downward strike, but we don't talk about the knife the same way. So the idea of this video is very similar to what Kano Sensei said in his book, Mind Over Muscle. I've talked about this very recently, about his vision. He talked about rubber and weapons made out of cloth, so he wanted to have like full contact sparring, but obviously safely done the same way they do it here. Now, this one here actually is incredibly interesting. It's a Yoko Sutemi, like a Yoko Otoshi, controlling both arms. At first she goes for the arm that's close to her, then as the knife arm became available, she actually grabs it. She does like a 2-on-1 and then drops in for Yoko Otoshi. This is during sparring. Again, keeping constant move, etc. will I would say destabilize the attacker. If you're just standing there like a sitting duck, obviously you're going to be in far more danger. So as they teach you in Judo and Randori, you should constantly be light on your feet and moving. You're going to be a far harder target to hit, whether it's a throw or a knife, and your chances of survival will greatly increase. Again, I'm not talking about being an invincible fighter. No fight is guaranteed for anyone. Now, let's talk about holding the arm and actually controlling it. This is where we get to Tankendo. Many don't know what Tankendo is. It might look like Kendo with the gear, but you're using a short sword and you're only wearing a glove in one hand. And the idea behind that is that you need your free hand to actually grapple. You have strikes to the head, to the torso or the trunks. You have a strike to the throat, and also you can control a hand and then continue to stab with the other. So I do think Tankendo is a very good martial art if you want to be like a, I would say, one of the weapons master. A lot of people do like dueling with French poignard or whatever, but Tankendo can also be a very good martial art. You have your protective gear and you can just go full on out. I'll show an example of sparring later on. Here you can strike the men, very similar to Kendo, but the distance, everything is different because of the difference of the weapon. This one here, Seitaizuki, controlling the arm and stab, is a great one. This is why you need only one glove, because The other hand needs to control. You can either elbow lock or just grab the garment and keep the arm away from you, and thus exposing the abdomen and winning by thrusting, getting your ippon. Here you can see, and also a great way to arrest if you are in the police. Many of the police would train arts like Kendo, Kendo, and Tankendo. Here, let's see it in sparring in a chaotic, say, condition. Now, again, I would say this has the spirit of Kendo, because in this close of quarter you can easily stab someone, but again, nothing is perfect. But if I have one criticism is this, because when you're very close like this, you can easily slash the face, slash anything that's close to you. But this isn't. But nonetheless, when it comes to training reflexes, training against thrust, etc., Tankendo can be very viable, and you need to be tactical, slow. So no real sports setting is close to real fighting, but nonetheless it can still provide you with a lot. So here you can see training the reflex. So imagine you are someone with a lot of experience in Tankendo. You had a lot of guys going at you. You can strike the throat, you can strike the head, etc., and then you get some untrained thug with a knife. A lot of people, even if you're the good guy, we often think of the bad guy only carrying the knife, but a lot of people say, you know, I'd rather come out, especially if you live in a bad place, packing something, a gun, a knife, or anything, and it may save your life. Again, it's not only the bad guy who carries a licensed weapon. Should be a right, in my opinion, and also using it ethically, and also using it in a good way. So now here you see in front of you, you see the kime no kata. In judo you have both. You have control that's being learned, like here you see, and also big throws. So the idea of this video, like I said, paying homage to Kano sensei's ideals when he talked about rubber and weapons made out of cloth. So in my opinion, every judo school should be like the following. You have your recreational class, where people like veterans, retired competitors, etc. would come in. They would do a lot of technique, and then they do a lot of randori, and the randori pace is not like a competition class. And of course you have your competition class. If you are young, your priority is competition, and then you have your kata class, ceremonial, static. You learn the proper ways of technique, and then you have your self-defense class, which is live drilling, sparring, weapons, etc. Now my school is slowly becoming like this. We have 2 times a week what is called recreational judo. We have 1 self-defense class. Am I happy with it? That's debatable, but it's better than nothing. We are at least starting with this. And now we have a kata class of 1 hour before class. It starts actually tonight. So they've made a lot of improvement, and I believe every school should be like this. The Kodokan, the pace of randori is not like, for example, Tokai. They do kata twice a week. They train every day for like 4 hours. The pace is obviously a lot slower. They have an older philosophy of judo, very similar to Kano sensei. It's not the goal of being an Olympic champion. Obviously they compete there once a month, but it's not like the competitors in Tokai or in Tenri or any type of university training judo. So in my opinion, that's how every school should be. Everyone has different priorities. Judo is very vast. You don't have to be a knife master like Tankendo, but training and drilling is all good. Also, a throw against a knife like Shodokan, Aikido is also a viable choice. It's not just wrist locks and unique patterns for the knife. So if you have anything else to add, please let me know down below. Also, consider supporting me on Patreon for exclusive content. I post there once a week for the patrons only. And of course, do not forget to check out Josh Simon's shop in the description. This was Shadi, and thank you for listening.